Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the first round of the virtual meetings for our Connecticut 2055 Long Range Transportation Plan. I'm Patrick Zapatka of the Connecticut Department of Transportation and the project manager for the Connecticut 2055 Long Range Transportation Plan. I am pleased to be joined today by our Connecticut 2055 Plan team with the Connecticut Department of Transportation and our prime consultant, CDM Smith. In addition to myself, Krista Gooden, the client project manager, Caroline Ciani, and Amy Livingston will be presenting today. But before we get started, I'm going to hand it over to Amy to go through a few of the Zoom features we'll be using today and to make sure you are able to get the most out of the meeting.
Thank you, Patrick, and good afternoon, everyone. Just a couple of notices. If at any point in the meeting you experience unreliable internet, you may call into the meeting by dialing the number listed on the screen. If you have any technical issues throughout the meeting, please email us at dot.longrangeplan@ct.gov. Live captioning and subtitles are available during this meeting. Simply click the Show Captions button to view, and then you can choose the language of the captions. First, we're going to start with a presentation, and then we'll move into a question and answer session. However, please feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation. We don't want you to forget them. We'll answer them at the end. So to submit a question, select the Q&A button located at the bottom of the Zoom webinar window to open the Q&A feature. From there, please type the question in the text box and click Enter. We will also accept questions verbally after we've taken all the written questions. Don't worry, we'll go back through these instructions again before we move into the Q&A session at the end. No person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this plan. A recording of this presentation will be posted on the plan's webpage as well as the Connecticut Department of Transportation's YouTube channel soon. Spanish captions will also be available on both after the recording is uploaded. This notice contains further information about your Title VI rights during the public involvement process. Any person who believes they've been aggrieved by any unlawful discriminatory practice under Title VI may file a complaint. The contact information is listed on this notice. This information is also available in Spanish. For any media inquiries, please reach out to the Connecticut DOT Office of Communications at the email shown on the screen. And now we'll get started with a message from our commissioner.
Hello, I'm Garrett Euclido, Commissioner of the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Thank you for joining us to learn more about the Connecticut 2055 Long Range Transportation Plan. Our last long range plan was published in 2018, and so much has changed since then. As we outline a vision for the future of transportation in our state, we need to hear from you on what you want to see. Connecticut's growing, and how the people here work, live, and play is evolving. People's needs are changing, and with that, so are how people utilize our state's vast transportation network. Whether someone drives, rides the bus, takes the train, walks, or bikes, we have to ensure it is safe and convenient. ConnDOT will continue to prioritize safety, drive economic growth, increase mobility, connect communities, and enhance lives through a forward-thinking, multimodal transportation system. Connecticut 2055 will be a visionary plan for all transportation users in our state, and we can't do this alone, and that's why your feedback is so important. We look forward to your input to ensure this plan reflects your vision for Connecticut's future.
Thank you, Commissioner. The purpose of today's meeting is to gather your valuable insights and feedback regarding the future of transportation in Connecticut. As daily users of our transportation system, we want to hear your thoughts and ideas as they are crucial for shaping our plans. During this meeting or afterwards, please take a moment to scan the QR code provided on this slide to submit your feedback easily. Don't worry, we'll be sharing this several times today and dropping a link into the chat. This is an important opportunity for you to share your thoughts, ideas, and expectations for transportation in our state. So today, we'll start with an overview of what Connecticut 2055 entails. Following that, we'll delve into the draft vision and goals, which are crucial for guiding our initiatives. We'll also examine current and emerging transportation trends that could impact our strategies moving forward. Finally, we'll discuss ways for you to provide your input and briefly review the next steps to shape Connecticut 2055. We will conclude with a question and answer session. So what is Connecticut 2055? And who are we planning for? Connecticut 2055 highlights our commitment to future-oriented transportation planning. This image symbolizes the next generation, emphasizing the importance of sustainable and efficient transportation solutions for their future. Connecticut 2055 reflects our long-term vision, aiming to create a robust transportation strategy that meets the needs of our communities. This is not just about transportation infrastructure. It's about ensuring a safe, livable, accessible environment for our future generations. A long-range transportation plan serves as a crucial policy framework that is typically revisited every 3 to 5 years. It is designed to guide investments in the multimodal transportation system, ensuring that all modes of transportation are considered and integrated. Key components include public engagement, which emphasizes the importance of community input in shaping those transportation priorities. Additionally, assessing the current state of our transportation system and its needs for all users helps us understand the service gaps. Evaluating emerging trends helps anticipate the future demands and challenges while reviewing the fiscal capacity to ensure that funding is aligned with those future investments. So updating the long-range transportation plan is crucial as Connecticut continues to evolve. We must recognize that the state faces increasing transportation demands, which necessitates a proactive approach to planning. Additionally, we are witnessing shifts in travel behaviors and the introduction of new modes and technologies that can affect how people get around. It's also important to consider how financial conditions may change. We need to ensure that we can maintain and improve our transportation system effectively well into the future. By addressing these factors, we can create a more efficient and responsive transportation system that meets the needs of those children I showed a few moments ago. So Connecticut 2055 Long-Range Transportation Plan will focus on creating a comprehensive vision for Connecticut's transportation future. It will serve all residents by ensuring that the transportation systems are accessible and efficient. It will balance the needs of various modes of transportation, which is critical for fostering a well-connected state. Enhancing people's mobility, meaning making it easier for people to get to and from where they need and want to go. And quality of life are at the forefront, as improved transportation can lead to better economic opportunities and community connection. Additionally, the plan will emphasize the importance of embracing technological innovations to enhance safety and operational efficiency. So how does Connecticut 2055 fit in with our other transportation plans and initiatives? Connecticut 2055 serves as the foundation that guides all of our transportation decision-making, such as the statewide Transportation Improvement Program, which is a multimodal plan that lists our funded projects, and the statewide freight plan that focuses on moving goods into and out of the state safely and efficiently. Each of these plans plays a critical role in enhancing transportation infrastructure and safety. For instance, the Strategic Highway Safety Plan focuses on how to reduce accidents, and Regional Council of Governments plans address those regional transportation needs. By setting the foundation for these various plans, Connecticut 2055 not only supports current initiatives, but also creates a comprehensive approach to address future transportation needs. So the vision and goals for a long-range transportation plan serve as the guiding framework for how to invest in the state transportation system over an extended period of time. The vision outlines the overarching aspirations and the desired outcomes for the transportation system. It sets the long-term direction and provides a clear picture of what the transportation network should be. So what goes into the Connecticut 2055 vision? First, Connecticut DOT's mission, improving lives through transportation. This defines our core purpose. While the previous plan's vision provides valuable insights and lessons learned, ensuring that we're building on past experiences. And this is not just a Connecticut DOT plan. Our partner agency visions highlight our collaborative efforts with stakeholders, emphasizing the importance of shared goals. In addition, we will be incorporating your input and feedback to refine the overarching vision for 2055. So please make sure you complete our survey. The Connecticut 2055 draft vision outlines an ambitious goal for the future of transportation in the state. Building on Connecticut DOT's mission, our draft vision is: we envision a safe and accessible transportation system that connects and enhances our communities. We strive for reliable and resilient multimodal transportation options for everyone. Our mission is to improve lives through transportation. Next, we developed the draft goals to break down the vision into specific, actionable objectives that guide the planning and decision-making process. The previous plan reflects our past strategies and lessons learned, while Trends emphasizes the importance of staying ahead of the market dynamics, population changes, as well as travel behavior. All transportation modes embodies our commitment to a multimodal approach, ensuring that our future investments and improvements will facilitate the movement of people and goods across the various modes, including bus, rail, trains, bicycling, and pedestrian facilities. And lastly, future engagement points to the need for proactive interaction with you, our stakeholders and communities. Together, these elements help form the draft goals for Connecticut 2055. And here are the draft goals. Safety for all users highlights the commitment to reducing serious injuries and fatalities and fostering a sense of security among users. Connected communities and equitable access underscore the importance of inclusivity, ensuring that everyone has access to reliable transportation options to get them to where they need to go. The goals also stress the need for resilient and sustainable infrastructure and an innovative future, which will leverage emerging technologies to enhance the transportation experience. Ultimately, these initiatives are designed to support a vibrant economy by facilitating the seamless movement of people and goods, thereby creating opportunities for growth and prosperity across Connecticut. So with all this in mind, do you have ideas on what you want our shared future to look like? Feel free to scan the QR code on the screen to start taking our survey now. I'm now going to turn it over to Caroline Ciani to walk us through current and emerging trends in Connecticut.
Thank you, Krista. So next, we're going to cover some of the trends we're seeing in Connecticut and talk about current and future transportation needs as we look ahead to 2055. So we'll take a glance at Connecticut's transportation network. There are some key data points and trends that require Connecticut to respond in how we plan our transportation network. To start, nearly 156,000 residents work out of state, with many working in our neighboring states of New York, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. The average commute time for Connecticut residents is 25 minutes, with many commuting to economic centers like Hartford, New Haven, and Stamford. Personal vehicles are also the dominant mode of transportation for commuting. Nearly 6% of the population in Connecticut lives in rural areas, which are scattered throughout the state and make up a large portion of the northwestern and northeastern areas of the state. Connecticut DOT maintains 3,715 miles of highways and interstates, over 4,000 bridges, and 243 track miles of rail. There are over 50 railroad stations in Connecticut, providing commuter and passenger rail service via the New Haven line and its 3 branches servicing New Canaan, Danbury, and Waterbury, Shoreline East, the Hartford line, and Amtrak. Bus services in the state are also extensive, with CT Transit offering 113 local and express bus routes. There are also 289 miles of bike trails to provide active transportation connectivity. There are 20 airports for use by the public, with the largest ones being Bradley International Airport and Tweed New Haven Airport. All of these characteristics play an important role in the state's robust and interconnected transportation network. So looking ahead to 2055, we anticipate that the state will continue to grow in both our population and our employment. This growth will likely require changes to our transportation network, and it emphasizes the importance of planning long-term transportation investments now to meet demands and transportation needs in the future. So now we've discussed some of the trends we're seeing in Connecticut. Let's see them in action through the stories of 3 Connecticut residents. So first, we have Connie. She is a recent retiree. She lives in Waterbury with her husky, Jonathan. She has an active social circle. She started worrying about driving places after dark for her own safety. She can easily navigate across the well-maintained roads in Waterbury to get groceries and go to the doctor's office. But when it comes to visiting her grandchildren in Danbury, she wishes there were another alternative like Dial-A-Ride or even a self-driving car. That'd be cool. She always has to leave early when visiting so she can get home before dark. Her daughter has promised to show her how to use a rideshare app, but that can get expensive quickly. She really would like to stay independent as long as she can, so she can watch her grandchildren start their own families here in Connecticut. Connie's transportation needs center around the ability to maintain her independence and social life through safe transportation choices, including keeping the roads well maintained, safe, and free of heavy traffic congestion, safe options to get from one city to the next in Connecticut, like ride shares or future technologies, and safe designated places for rideshare pickup and drop off. Transportation can improve Connie's life by supporting safety for all users, connected communities, equitable access, and innovative future. Did you know, while Connecticut's overall population has remained stable, the percentage of those over 65 years old has increased by almost 23% in the last 10 years. This age group will continue to grow through 2055, and the percentage of people over 80 years old will see the fastest growth over this time. A key indicator Connecticut DOT uses to measure the health of roadways is pavement condition. Connecticut exceeded their most recent goals on pavement conditions for both interstate and non-interstate highways. Almost 3/4 of interstate pavement was in good condition and less than 0.1% was in poor condition. Only 0.1% was in poor condition. For non-interstate highways, almost 40% of pavement was in good condition and less than 3% was in poor condition. Since 2012, traffic fatalities in Connecticut have risen, similar to the rest of the country, where they've risen by nearly 27%. To make Connecticut's roads safer, it's important to understand the unique factors at play, like road and environmental conditions and driver behavior. Let's move on to Connor. Connor is really excited to be starting a family. While he's been working in insurance for a couple of years in downtown Hartford, his new wife is a teacher in Southington. Like a lot of Connecticut residents, he's now able to work from home a few days a week. However, they need to find somewhere affordable to live while keeping his commute to work reasonable now that they're going to start the family they've always wanted. He also knows that getting to and from daycare on time will be important to them in the coming years, as well as bike lanes that are safe for kids and sidewalks to school. He's heard from some coworkers that many use CT Transit to get into the office and also have really loved using the new CT Rail Hartford line to meet with clients in Meriden, Wallingford, and New Haven. He loves that while he's downtown, he can walk to grab a last-minute gift for his wife at one of the many shops or use a rideshare e-scooter to meet up with an old friend for lunch. Most days, he likes to take a walk along the riverfront at lunch. And Connor's transportation needs include affordable housing with a reliable, reasonable commute aided by transit, family-friendly, safe bicycle lanes and sidewalks, and a vibrant downtown to walk, shop, or grab lunch safely. Transportation can improve his family's lives by supporting safety for all users, connected communities, vibrant economy, and equitable access. Another did you know? The number of Connecticut residents who work from home increased 175% from 2019 to 2023, with approximately 260,000 people who work from home. From 2000 to 2019, the number of miles traveled by all motorized vehicles, meaning cars, trucks, motorcycles, etc., grew by nearly 4%. During the COVID-19 pandemic, those numbers decreased dramatically. Since then, the number of miles driven on Connecticut's roads and highways has continually risen and is expected to surpass pre-COVID levels by 2028. Interstates and expressways contributed to nearly half of all miles that were traveled across Connecticut. Residents of Connecticut are experiencing higher costs and a more limited supply of housing. In the last 5 years, median list prices were up over a third, and the price per square foot increased over 50%. Over this same time, the inventory of available housing went down almost 80%. Understanding the housing needs of residents is fundamental to prioritizing where and what transportation improvements are needed. All right, our third Connecticut resident, Conrad. He lives in Trumbull with his wife and 2 children and works as a manager at a retail store in downtown New Haven. His family doesn't have any vehicles and relies on the bus, train, walking, and biking to get to work, buy groceries, and access healthcare. Within the first few weeks of his new job, he realized he needs a better way to get to work on time so that he can be there for his employees. He's been taking the bus to Bridgeport Station and catching the train to New Haven. However, the bus routes to Bridgeport Station are primarily during the week. He often works weekend shifts, late nights, and early mornings to receive incoming shipments and finds himself utilizing ride shares, which add up in cost. Conrad also has some physical health concerns and finds it challenging, particularly in inclement weather, to navigate icy or snowy sidewalks, especially at night. Sometimes he resorts to walking in the street, but doesn't feel safe doing that. Conrad hopes to find a safer and more reliable way to ensure he arrives at work on time. Conrad's transportation needs include seamless connectivity between bus and train accommodations and efficient bus and rail routes so he can get to work and other appointments on time. Expanded bus and rail routes to support early morning, late night, and weekend travel, and safe, well-maintained sidewalks and bus stops, particularly during the winter months. Conrad thinks transportation can improve his family's lives by supporting safety for all users, connected communities, resilient and sustainable infrastructure, and equitable access. One more, did you know? 3 cities in Connecticut rank among the highest in the nation for the percentage of households without cars. Hartford, 29%, New Haven at 26%, and Bridgeport at 19%. While CT Transit bus ridership declined during the COVID-19 pandemic by 35%, ridership has been recovering and a full recovery is expected by 2027. We have a vast passenger rail network here in Connecticut. Almost 30 million trips were taken on commuter rails throughout Connecticut in 2023. Okay, now we've heard the stories of 3 Connecticut residents, but what about you? Can transportation improve your life? How? We'd love to hear your ideas, concerns, and stories to help us create a transportation system that benefits everyone in Connecticut.
So, how can you engage with our team and have your voice heard? There are several ways for you to provide your input. You can visit the plan's website, as seen on the screen, for more information, take our survey, or via these meeting materials. We'll also drop this link in the chat, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. I know we might have been flashing it up quickly. The link will take you to the same place as the QR code. You can also send any comments that you have via email to dot.longrangeplan@ct.gov or mail them to the address listed. Whether you have specific concerns or general comments on the Connecticut 2055 Long Range Transportation Plan, we'd love to hear from you. Please make sure to share that feedback through May 23rd, 2025, so we can make sure that we are able to incorporate that into the plan. When you click on the QR code, this is what the survey will look like. There are a few questions, only a handful. It shouldn't take long, so please visit there, assess your transportation experiences, and let us understand your concerns. To learn more about the plan, you can click the Overview tab on there. You can also read the draft goals that Krista went over earlier in the third, it's called a Plan Goals tab. On that note, we've been hitting the road to meet people at events and train stations all across the state. So thank you to those who have met with us at the Waterbury YMCA and other places earlier this month. But here's a list of a few more upcoming listening sessions throughout the state. including at train stations in Hartford, Bridgeport, New Haven, Stamford, and we'll be at events like the Groton Public Library Earth Day Expo and the Danbury Downtown Chow Down. But you can also scan this QR code or visit again for more information. Before we wrap up and move to the Q&A session, let's take a look at where we are in the process of developing the Connecticut 2055 Long Range Transportation Plan. Last fall, we dove into the data to truly understand the current state of transportation in Connecticut. This helped us form the draft vision and goals to bring to you now for your feedback. Using the data collected and your input on the priorities for Connecticut's transportation system, meaning the vision and the goals, we'll begin better defining the needs of our transportation system across its various modes, whether you're driving, riding, walking. From there, we'll develop strategies and recommendations on how best to invest in your transportation future. After all of that has been pulled together, the plan will be developed and brought back to you all, the public, again before it's adopted next summer. All right, so now we'll transition into our question and answer session. Just a few reminders. Let's have a productive, friendly, and efficient meeting. Please remember to use respectful language and maintain a professional meeting behavior. While we encourage you to submit questions through the Q&A feature, if you would like to ask your question verbally, a facilitator will unmute you to do so. Simply raise your hand. We'll be moving through the submitted questions first. For the sake of time, we may group similar questions together to ensure we cover all the topics here today. As a reminder, a recording of this meeting will also be posted on the plan's webpage as soon as possible. Couple of quick notes. If you're not familiar with the functionality on Zoom, as a reminder, if you can submit a question through the Q&A tool, it's got a little icon and it looks like a question and it says Q&A. If you're unable to do that and need to ask your question verbally, please just raise your hand and we'll unmute you after we've taken all the written questions. Should you have any technical issues during the session, you can certainly email us your comments and let us know there. So let me shift over and take a look at the questions that we've received so far. The first one is asking about the time frame this plan covers. So with that, Patrick, I'm going to turn it over to you as the project manager to help us answer a couple of these questions.
Sure. Hi, thank you. So there was a question on the time frame. This plan, it's a 31-year plan. So the 2055 plan will cover a period from 2024 to 2055.
And that is a long time. It certainly helps thinking back to those children that we showed at the beginning and why we showed them. That's who we're really thinking about there. All right. We also got another question here that says, sorry, just shifting over here. I know that there was a comment that we received about the QR code and not being able to scan it. We've dropped that into the chat and put it there. But Patrick, can you remind the audience when they can comment until?
Yes. So yeah, the comment period is open. Sure, I'm off mute. All right, yeah. Comment period is open from now till May 23rd of 2025. You can comment a number of ways, including, on our website, by emailing, as Amy had mentioned several times, the dot.longrangeplan@ct.gov. You can be sending a comment via mail or calling the study hotline. I believe the phone number is 860-594-2020, or you can go online and complete our survey. I think there's links that we posted in the chat for the study website and for our survey.
Absolutely. And as I just went over, this is our initial comment period. We'll, of course, be bringing this back to you all again next summer to see the final. All right. we received, this is more of a comment. We received a comment in relation to what the state is doing about controlling costs for passenger rail. Thank you so much for providing that comment. We really appreciate it. This is something that we will be looking to address in the plan, and we've noted that comment there as well. All right. Okay. We also received another comment. This one is related to the stretch of the Northeast corridor between New Haven and New Rochelle is the slowest. And they go on to say Amtrak's own statistics that MNRR commuter train interference can contribute to a lot of delay each month. And this concern is related to the state's plan for maintenance and to speed up trains. So here, this is a comment of a desire to speed up the trains that we have in the state. We appreciate that comment. Wonderful, as you heard earlier, we really want this plan to be very focused on all of our modes and making sure there's access to all of our users. Don't be shy. Please make sure to put in your comments in there. Just go down to the Q&A and type it in. All right, let's see. I do have, I think I have one more question. This one says, I have some ideas on improvements based on my experiences. How can I share that information and how will it be used?
Hey, Amy, I'll jump in. You know, as we kind of mentioned throughout our presentation, you can share your ideas and transportation experiences in a number of ways. You know, by emailing your comments to our email address. You can send your comments via mail or calling our hotline. And, you know, I think it's really important if you could take a few minutes of your time to complete our survey online. It's a really well done survey, and it really paints a good picture and how you can help shape our long range plan in the future. And then we have our pop-up events, which I think is really great. We have it's a good way for, you know, our consultants and for the department to get out there to really have like one-on-one conversations with you guys. And I think that's another great opportunity.
All right. I think we have a couple of other questions I see coming in. The next one, sorry, it is coming up on my site now. The next question is there a draft plan available at this time? And so as we mentioned earlier, and I'm going to ping it over to Patrick, we're in that mode where we've been gathering the data, analyzing it, trying to take and pull in other plans that we mentioned, whether they're our plans at the department or they're the plans of our regional partners, and pulling those together. And this feedback that you're providing us today is that critical part that allows us to take the plan into the next stage of development. So Patrick, anything more you want to add there?
Yeah, absolutely. So as of right this moment, we don't truly have a draft plan, but what we do have that we posted was our vision statement and our goal statement. And I think we wanted to hear your input first before we started to develop the plan, because we didn't want to get too far down, you know, the rabbit hole and then realize, hey, we missed something big that we should have picked up in the beginning stages of the development for our long range plan. And I do believe there's also, in lieu of that question about, you know, are there going to be specific projects? You know, for our long range 20-year vision, there really isn't specific projects that we lay out. We want more like policy guidance to guide our projects that may come out of this plan. So, you know, modes of transportation, you know, do we want to see, you know, improved rail? You know, we look at all of our modes from, you know, from roadways to bicycle and pedestrian, you know, our ports and everything like that. So I think more generalized is the stuff that we're trying to develop within our plan instead of specific projects that'll come out of that. The other plans that Amy was alluding to, like our STIP, our statewide transportation improvement plan, you know, we have a capital plan. Those are a lot of times where you'll see those specific projects.
Awesome. Great. The next question, Kim, I'm going to be calling on you to answer this one. So wanted to give you a warning. The next question is related to if the plan will be using climate modeling to assess long-term risk to transportation assets like the Northeast Corridor that were mentioned earlier, the Shoreline East. And I think you have some great information to share related to the scenario planning that we'll be doing.
Sure, thank you for that question. Really appreciate it. Certainly the department is looking at how weather events are affecting our infrastructure. And as Amy mentioned, this plan will include some scenario planning. We'll be asking ourselves what ifs. And so while we might not have modeling per se to look at specific areas, we will be looking at how the department can address these challenges as they come forward. We also are in a separate study that we are working on. It's called our Resilience Improvement Plan. We are working at setting up a framework of looking at all of our assets and assessing the risks for those. So a very important part of our work going forward, and we do have a dedicated sustainability and resilience team within Policy and Planning Connecticut Department that is focusing on that. So again, thank you for that comment, and I think it lets us know that we're on the right track. No pun intended with what we need to look at in the long-range plans. Thank you.
I never miss an opportunity for a good pun, Kim. And transportation lends itself to many that just drive home the punch, right? All right. Let's see. Any other questions that I'm seeing? I'm going to pause here for just a moment to allow you all to enter any additional questions. This is your time to ask them. But if you don't, obviously we've mentioned several ways to stay engaged with us, whether it's via email or others. We want to have your feedback and make sure that this plan is representative of all of us. Michelle, maybe, yeah. Michelle, would you mind shifting back to slide 40 that shows our upcoming listening sessions? And while we do that, I also want to make sure everybody is aware we have really a repeat of this session that's going to happen at 6 p.m. this evening. So if you have friends, colleagues, we know that daytimes can be difficult. Many of us work and have other obligations, so we set a couple of times and opportunities. We will be going through the same presentation, again, to make sure the same information is shared to everyone, but again, having that question and answer session. And following the meeting, we will be putting copies of both of the sessions on our website, and we'll have a record of meetings. So I understand, we appreciate you're here today. We know you probably can't come back at 6 p.m., but wanted to make sure that you knew that that was happening. On the screen, you see a listing of what we call pop-up events, or their pop-up listening sessions. And what that means is there's a handful of us from the plan development team, and we'll be sitting out this weekend at the Groton Public Library for their Earth Day Festival, and there to take your comments in person and really have a conversation with you. So if you don't get all these written down today, or you want to talk to somebody in person and we're coming nearby to you, please feel free to drop by. We do have times and greater details on that website there. We just wanted to give you a little bit of an opportunity to talk one-on-one. I do see that we have another question that's come in, so thank you for putting that in. The next question is related to transit service. And the question is, will non-CT transit bus services be addressed in the long range plan? Patrick, you want to come back and answer that one for us? Get us started?
Okay, let me check. Yeah, so we will look at, transit services across the board for the long range transportation plan. I can't officially say whether non-CT transit, but we do know, transit's important as a whole, not just for our transit providers, but on everybody as a whole, like some of the bigger outfits that we have in Connecticut. We would love to hear, from them and what their needs are too as well. But I do think holistically from a policy standpoint, we would like to look at transit on a whole, not just from what DOT owns, but everything across the board within Connecticut.
Absolutely, Patrick. I mean, we mentioned our goals, and when we're looking at transportation, it's that seamless connectivity, it's that accessibility for all.
Yeah.
So I think we're particularly interested in hearing if there are any gaps in service, regardless of, who's running that transit service. So that's a wonderful question and allows us to really look at big picture, the level of this plan. All right. Just going to pause and make sure we don't want to end this too soon if you're frantically typing over there.
I see that we do receive another comment that came through regarding congestion through Hartford is a major isolator, and how will this plan address that? So two things, for long-term, for transportation modes, for policy development, congestion is always our nemesis here in the state of Connecticut. And we will look at that holistically throughout the state to develop ways on how we can address that. But specifically when it comes through Hartford, I know we just finalized a little while ago our Greater Hartford Mobility Study. Not to get off the long range plan, but that is a really good detailed approach on how they're going to address congestion within Hartford, Connecticut.
And that's a really great opportunity. Kim, do you want to pop on and talk a little bit more about the Greater Hartford Mobility Study?
Sure, Amy, be happy to, and thank you for that question. As Pat mentioned, this is something that we're certainly looking at across the state, and we just completed what is called a PEL, or a Planning and Environmental Leakage Study, for the Greater Hartford area. And I'm sure that our team can probably find a link to put into the chat for you on that. And that PEL has concluded, and then that PEL lays out some plans for some projects that we are looking to for the future for the city of Hartford and the surrounding region. So you can comment on both. You can comment on the Greater Hartford Mobility Study pages and also here. And that is a great way for us to hear your feedback. But the Greater Hartford Mobility, what we're now calling a program as we transition from the study, there are some great websites there that will give you a lot more information, and you're welcome to comment and check out those pages as well. Thank you for that.
Wonderful. And we were able to drop that link into the chat. Certainly go there, find out some more information. I know there's some contact information there. And if you don't find what you're looking for, we've definitely told you our email address a few times. We'd be happy to connect you with the right people. So with that, I think we've answered all of our questions today. I know oftentimes when I'm seeing something for the first time and going through, it might take me a little bit to think of. It's like, oh my goodness, why didn't I say this earlier? So again, we're just asking for comments during this initial comment period through the end of May 23. And all of that information available on our website. We truly appreciate your time. You're committing to helping shape Connecticut's transportation future, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. Please stay engaged with us on social media, sign up for email updates, and look forward to our next public meeting in 2026. Thank you all.